Hi, good morning to all of you. So, this is the second session that we will be conducting on Python for AI. So, we'll continue our learning of Python from the basics. Okay. So, yesterday we learned about our basically why Python has been popular, what kind of libraries are there, what are the things that we can use. It's a overall generic picture that we try to learn. So today onwards, we'll be learning more about specific topics that will be, whatever is a specific, like, for example, today I will be covering data related things. It will be basic data types and variables for today, and we will be covering the control structures tomorrow, like that. We'll go stage by stage. And so today's session topic will be data types and variables. That's what I will be presenting it to you. Yeah, I'll just start sharing my PPT. So can you please confirm that all of you are able to see my screen? Can you please confirm it in the chat? Mhm. Can somebody confirm in the chat whether you're able to see my screen, that presentation? Yes. Thank you, Suruchi. So I think usually that's how I go, and I want to just confirm before the start of the session so that sometimes we might lose connections. Yeah. Um, so this is a session 2, which will be part of this course that Python for AI we're conducting. And this is about basic data types and variables. Okay, so we will be just usually, sir, we are going to code along in some idea. So Richi, I would not advise that, we would not be doing that. I would say that, first, in all the lectures you should follow whatever I'm going to show it to you in terms of PPT, and the program, that lines of code, whatever we are going to do, we are going to execute them on my system. Just you literally follow what is being taught to you, and try to notate the notes on your physical notebook. Okay, and then please practice it by the end of the day, or whenever you get the time, so that whatever the doubts or anything that we have, you can ask me individually also on WhatsApp, as well as whenever we conduct these classes, you can also ask about any specific doubts that we have. You might not be understanding that this is not working, that is not working. You can always ask me back. But as of now, I would not be advising you to try the same lines of codes on your PC. This is for everybody. Okay, so we would just go through basic things, and whatever is the command execution that needs to be done, we will try to do that. On my PC, we will execute them, and those notebooks will be provided to you. Okay, so just let's try to quickly recap the previous session. So we learned what is Python, and basically why Python has become popular, and a lot of places where Python is being deployed. Some of the applications also we had seen, like some of the software companies like Google. A lot of companies employed these Python, and they are very popular because of its simplicity and extendability, versatile. Lot of features are there with Python. That's how it has become very popular. And we also learned how you can set up your Python environment. I did, so we'll be basically using the Anaconda. Anaconda is the IDE that we will be preferring. Basically, that is much easier, and it's a blocks that are there. You can write your lines of code and execute them. So that is why, usually I prefer Anaconda. Of course, you can also use PyCharm. The same lines of code will work. But yeah, Anaconda is little bit easier with a lot of inbuilt libraries and a lot of options that are there. So that makes Anaconda much more user friendly for especially beginners like you, people who wants to start off with Python. For them it would be much more easier in that case that you start off with Anaconda. So that's why I'm preferring Anaconda for all of you to try out in the Anaconda. Okay, so we did learn about basic Python syntax and some level of code structure. There is an indentation that we are going to do in the codes and little bit of part. And of course, uh, it's not that much essential that whatever has been done there, you have to follow the exactly the same way. Uh, Now onwards, it will be more like specific topics that will be taken up, and it will be more relevant for you to follow up with much more things. We also learnt about various popular libraries that are available on uh, Jupyter Notebook, and in general Python. You can use it. These popular libraries, most of these libraries we would be covering at some for any of the projects are based on the project that we are going to take it up. We are going to cover specific libraries that will be covered. So we'll be covering. We also learned about there are very popular libraries like Panda, NumPy for data analytics. We also learned that Matplotlib is very popular for basically the plotting. Various kinds of graphs, etc. Of course, don't worry. We will, as and when we just get into that topic, I will show you how we can use all that. Scikit-learn, most likely, until unless any of our project requires this topic to be covered, most likely, we will not be going into that day. Some SciPy might be used. It all depends on your project. That's how we would go with. Okay. See, the basic idea of this course is that you should be able to do a lot of things on your own independently. That's the way that I would feel that you should be trained with. Okay, so let's jump into the topic. That is, today's topic would be basic data types and variables. So, can anybody tell me what is a variable? What is a variable? Any idea? What would be variable? See, I want you to interact and keep attentive and just post it in the chat. It doesn't matter whether it would be right, wrong. It doesn't matter. But it should not be that I am speaking to blind walls. So if it would be nice if you can respond quickly so that I would take yes. Okay. To store a value or something whose value you can change. Correct. Correct, Shruti. Suruchi. You are right. So basically, a suitable variable is a variable is basically a container for storing different data values. They could be of basically a variable is a container, like we have in a physical form. We might have different containers where you can store different things like rice, atta, etc., etc., right? So the same way we do have in a programming world, we do have different containers that we are going to create. Based on the requirement, we can store a particular value. That's basically a variable is being used for. Okay, so in variables, in especially Python, we have there are two kinds of variables. One is categorical. This is a generic division of the variables that we come across in our real life. And that's basically based on, yeah, a storage memory location. Yeah, Pratik. So that's in a physical sense, yes, it is in the physical memory. I will just show it to you in a graph, in how it's going to be there in the memory. So a variable, there are multiple, if I divide them on a broad way, there are two types. Okay, categorical and numerical. What is categorical? like in that again there are two types. One is nominal and ordinal. There are two kinds of variations of categorical variable. Like for example, these are nominal are unordered and categories which are mutually exclusive. Okay, so there is nothing like one is top, one is bottom, or they are unordered, means there is nothing like one is on top and second one is long below that, right? So those kind of variables are called nominal categorical variables. Okay, the sequence is like this, nominal categorical variable. Okay, so like examples are male, female. So these are the two kinds of options that are there. There is nothing, no order there. Smoker and non-smoker. We might have certain preference, like non-smokers are might have better health, but that doesn't give them anywhere ordered. One is first and second one, like that. So there are those kind of variables which does not have any ordering and different kind of categories, like male, female. This is a category, of humans, right? So that kind of thing can be there. Those are called nominal categorical variables. And similarly, the second type of categorical variables are ordinal. So this is nominal, means that it is unordered. Ordinal means it is ordered categories which are mutually exclusive. Like, it could be one, two, three, four, five, or minimal, severe, unbearable pain. Like this is like for example, this is like you are trying to segregate a patient who is having a pain. These are real life examples which you will be coming across, when you are trying to do a project. So that time you might be required to analyze different categories of patients, who has reported a pain in there because of certain things. Then after treatment, whether that pain has come down or not, then in that case, there are these are ordinal, means which are ordered. So there is a minimal, moderate, severe, unbearable pain. So that's it keeps on increasing with level. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are ordinal variables which can have different kind of things. Then there is a some variable called numericals. Basically all the numbers related to that. We have a variation. That is, one is the discrete, where the whole number value that is there. Like for example, here in ordinal you can have 1-star rating, 2-star rating, 3-star rating based on the services people provide, right? So those kind of those are ordinal variables. Whereas in this case, numericals, you have all the numbers. Like for example, the currency, it can be having, like I can be having 5,000 notes, 50,000 notes. It can keep on increasing. There is no end to it, right? But these, see, in ordinal, it is a categories, means it's limited number. Whereas in a numerical discrete, they are discrete in number and there is no limit to it. It could be like number of visits to dentist. It could be it can have any kind of variable, and it could be 30, it could be 40. It cannot be like 30.2, right? Because point twos are not possible. But there are numerical variables which are continuous. Like for example, maybe the weight, my weight would be somewhere around 59. So you can say 59.2, 59.1. It could be 1.5. You have all the accuracies that are possible based on your scale, right? So those are the variations that are there. So then those are called continuous numerical variables. It's important that you should understand that all our it sometimes in machine learning, these are the variables based on availability of data. You would be required to segregate them based on this variable types. Okay, so that is why it is important that we learn these what kind of variables are there. So in summary, variables can be of two types. One is categorical and second one is numerical. And they are having here nominal values where they are unordered. uh, Basically, like segregations like male, female, smokers, non-smokers, it's more used for segregation. Ordinal, they are ordered, means there is sequence, there is a hierarchy, like 1 2 3 4 5, like ratings, etc. And in the case of minimal, moderate, in the case of pain, you can consider to be minimal, moderate, severe, unbearable pain. These are the kind of categories that you can create. But these are ordinals, means there is a sequence of your ordinal variable. Similarly, you have something called numericals, where there are two kinds of one is the discrete, which we call it as integer, continuous, which we call it as float variables. So most of the times you would be required to deal with these kind of four variables. Okay, we do have other variables such as strings and characters, but the fundamentally, all that will also can fall into or into broken into down to in these two. It could be categorical, like for example, you can have characters to be a b c d e f. There are limited number of characters that are possible, so it will come to ordinal. So everything can be broken down to eventually these two things. That's where we would require these numbers to be stored. Based on a specific requirement, you can think of a different kind of variable, but everything will finally boil down to these basically four kind of variables that we would be required to store in our application. So whatever the program that we are going to write for, right? Okay, so variable in Python, it's very important to note that in Python, the variables are casted dynamically. What do you mean by that? Python program is very modern programming language. So you don't need to say what kind of variable you are going to create. Like for example, in C, we always used to say first declare that it is int followed by the variable name that I'm going to use. Similarly, for float, we used to say float or double. That's the keywords that we need to declare a particular variable, what kind of variable that is going to be there. In the case of Python, that is not there. Just you can if you have seen my demo class, there I had shown that x equals to 10, y is equals to some random number 6.7. It automatically assigns an appropriate variable type inside. So the variables in Python are dynamically typecasted. So you don't need to explicitly declare what kind of variable that variable is going to be. Like for example, x is equals to 10, automatically it takes that to be an integer. If I say y is equals to 6.54, it automatically takes that to be a continuous, that is float variable. Means there is a floating point, that decimal that is there. It can hold values like which are having decimal values as well. So that is how in Python we have that is a variable to be dynamically typecasted. Just I'll let me quickly see if I have missed something from the previous slide. Okay, so in today's session, what we will be learning about is what is a variable, and understanding Python data types, what kind of data types are possible in Python, and variable assignment and usage. We will try to do some operations on data types, some basic operations on these kind of data types, what are allowed or what are not allowed. Okay, so those kind of things we'll be covering today. So yeah, so naming conventions, you as a programmer should always follow a standard convention that somebody else, when they read your code, they should be able to understand your code, what you have written. Like I can randomly create x and y, but what is that variable? When you are using inside your application, when it becomes more bigger and bigger, you will lose track of that particular variable name, what that variable was supposed to do and what is it saying. And so usually you should always give it with a descriptive names. So basically, I can say time of, I can have a variable with all the time to be maybe starting with a T, or maybe, I might be having a student's name to be, instead of using simply name, I can use a student, student underscore name. That's kind of key variable name that I should use, so that whatever the variable that I have created, I can always remember what is the purpose of that variable that I had created. Okay. And do remember that Python is a case sensitive language. What do you mean by that? Um, you know, Maybe in the demonstrations, I will just show it to you. Just remember at this point of time, it is like, for example, my name is there, right? It is Sudheendra, Sudhendra. If I use my first letter to be capital S, and if I use my second letter to be, yeah, Surichi, you are correct. Uppercase and lowercase are treated as a different variables. It's not only full sentence, even a single character inside the variable. Like for example, capital X is different from small x. Similarly, in the case of name, just I will open a notebook, and I think I will be required to stop share, and I will just share it back again. Just open my notebook, and I'll quickly do that. Okay. Uh, yeah, maybe I will share the entire screen. Okay. Screen itself. I'll share. Yeah. Can you please confirm whether you are able to see my screen, entire screen? Can you please confirm in the chat that you are able to see my entire screen? Chart. Okay, as of now. Okay, yes, Suruchi, thank you. Any of the participants who has not yet enrolled in the course, and who is interested, please share your WhatsApp number and name. We will add you to Python AI and ChatGPT project group, so that we will create that group and we'll add you to there, and we'll communicate as per the need of the project. Okay, so please do share that, and we will continue our topic. Okay, so it is like this. If I'm typing name, this and these name, these are completely two different variables, right? Like, maybe, like here I was telling about, you talk of student name. Okay, so you should have the variables to be of this kind rather than simply name, right? If you say name, maybe it could be employee name, it could be student name, it could be a staff name, it could be anything. So ideally you should always name with the full descriptive. That would be preferred, because when you read your own code at later point of time, or somebody else is reading, they can understand that this is how it is done. Okay. uh, do remember that in Python, it is case sensitive, that is name, and this capital N being the first letter and small letter being the first letter. These two are completely different variables, right? Name and these name, right, are different variables, right? They are not same, right? They are completely different variables. Always also remember that any variable that we are creating inside the Python should always start with a letter or underscore. So basically, you cannot have like variable like for underscore, maybe, student name. This is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. This is not allowed. But whereas student underscore name underscore for, this is correct. Okay, this is correct. So this will work, but this will not work. This is wrong. Okay, this type of variable declaration will not be, it will give rise to errors. So you should always have a variable starting with first letter, only first letter, being either name or underscore. Like for example, I can say underscore. Okay, this is correct. Okay, underscore 4, this kind of variable name is correct, but 4 underscore student name is, this is wrong. Student name underscore 4, this is okay, this is accepted in your variable type. Minus underscore 4 student name, this is okay, again accepted. So any variable that you are trying to create should always start with underscore. So people have their own conventions. Some of the people have that, everything they will start it with underscore. Okay, that's you have to build your own convention that based on the code that you are trying to build. Okay, that and all depends on, when you are trying to become more and more robust programmer, you will have your own style of programming. There are some important tips and tricks which I will be explaining, throughout the course during the when, as and when it is required. Okay, so here I talk of. So here, there are these are variable types that we have discussed. But when we try to create actually in physical sense, you would also be required to use a variables like, with a character of strings, right? Like this is Sudheendra is name, so I would be declaring that as a variable. Okay, so x equals to 10 and name, these are two kinds of variables which can be created inside the Python. So if I ask you, this name is equals to Sudheendra, which kind of variable is it among the four? Can anybody tell me? Okay, as of now, I have not received. I would already, okay. Actually, Suruchi, you are, see, this is among these four. Where does it go? Nominal, ordinal, discrete, and continuous. Nominal, okay. So, conventionally, maybe yes, correct. You are correct. It could be under nominal or ordinal. It all depends on it's yeah. So, it all depends on which one it is. Whether it is there is no order, correct. So in that case, it will go to nominal. So, but only thing is that here the variable type is basically it's a continuous character string. S is a separate character, U is a separate character. But if I call in that way, it is like, A, B, C, D, E, F, it will go under ordinal, like where you have different characters. But yeah, it can also be considered to be a variable having Sudhindra and, it can have Raj. There are different conventions that we follow, then it can fall under nominal. So that's a broader category of variables, but in real life it's not, our variables are not, it can be having that diciness sometimes, but these are very important for our uh, especially when you do machine learning process, that's when you would be required to put the variable into these two categories. But otherwise, most of the times for basically, for your own record keeping or something like that, these are allowed, any kind of variables, you don't need to understand exactly what kind of variable that you are trying to create. Okay, so these are just basic examples. Why we use variables? Basically it simplifies the code, making it more readable and maintainable. So basically you created a variable, like, you can also just use, like, for example, 10, whatever the number that is required, you can, instead of making x equals to 10, you can always use directly 10, right? But that makes, that variable not dynamic. I can always reassign the value of x and do my calculations with much ease. Okay, that is like, it also is much more readable, like for example, student name, student age, it just, rather than saying that age is 18, you can always say student's age, right? That would be much more easy and readable. And it's always flexibility to allow the manipulations. Like for example, if I'm making x equals to 10, and it makes 10 into 2, and all the mathematics, lot of things that you can do is possible with a variable. Like for example, my name is there, Sudheendra. I can use that name and either append or prefix, suffix, different things. All that is possible with a variable. And you can use that by using the same variable at multiple location. Instead of using that value repeatedly at 100 places, you are going to use that variable name. You can always create x equals to all the places. Like you like simply I would say x equals to 10, then I would say 2x plus all that. I'm doing some mathematical calculations now. I can also use instead of x 10, but it leads to a lot of complications, right? When I'm writing the program 10 into, I do all that. And then if I want to change the value of x to be instead of 10, if I want to make it to 20, then I have to replace all my parts of code. Instead of that 10, I have to replace it with 20. But if I use a variable x equals to 10, I can just simply reassign that variable x equals to 20, then I can use that. Then that makes your code, much more, reusable of your code. That reduces the redundancy, that you are not using the same value being typed in again and again. So that is why basically we use a variable where we want to store a particular information inside that. It could be like x equals to 10. It could be like name is equals to Sudheendra. Okay. Then I can always change the variable x, x equals to 20. I can reassign the values, etc. So basically, there are two different things. Okay. The value, that is may, and you can get in Python. What is the just I will run the notebook. Let me see, Jupyter notebook. I'll just run this notebook. Okay, just let me run the notebook. So you will I have, like, in the demo class I had shown how you can launch it from Anaconda Navigator, right? But you can always search directly from here. And I always prefer directly Jupyter notebook. So I just run, because I don't need any other backend. So I will just be using this. So this is, I will just go there. Again, it will be a quick review for you. You have to go for new and Python notebook. I will just start there. Then it will create a fresh notebook which does not have any of the other things, right? So this is batch 2 session 2. Okay. So yeah, I have to do batch 2. Okay. So this, once you have come up to this stage, I was just talking of this one, right? Yeah. See, these are the variables that we have created. Like, for example, I would say 10. Okay. And this is a value that I want to store. So it has gotten 10. I can see where my this 10 information has stored inside the memory. Okay. This, if I put ID 10, so this is my program that I had written. So there is something called, on the backside, there is a kernel which is running, which understands that, whenever I type 10, so there is a variable with a value of 10, right? So where this is actually physically stored is, this is the address of my hard disk. Inside that, this is actually the memory location in which it is actually stored. Okay. Now I would say x equals to 10. Maybe I would just, I'll just demonstrate with this. Okay. Okay, age. Okay. And let me assign this. Okay. And I will see ID age. Will it be same? Let's see. It is the same. Okay. So it will be same, because I'm assigning this value to 10 with a variable called age. Now, if I say age is equals to 20, okay, Okay, let me run this. Now let me run again ID. Okay, age, and you can see if I run this, this has got reassigned to a new place. Now if you want to see ID 20, it will be the same. Okay, so basically what is happening in the memory wise, let me go to my presentation. Okay, so in the memory wise, you have two different places. So you can access that value itself also wherever the value that is stored, or instead of using that particular memory location, I can reassign that particular variable into, like, for example, here I was doing ID, right? Let me go back here and I will try to explain again so that you understand with a proper. Okay, so first what would you do? We wanted to my compiler to understand that I want a variable, like, with a value of 10. So I created a 10. I wanted to see where it is stored inside the memory. So I just use the keyword called ID. So, sir, can you increase the font size as a bit on? Okay, okay, I'll just do that. Okay, okay, is it better now? So, Ruchi, can you see the screen? Is it okay? Can you please confirm? Is it the size is okay? Yeah, okay. So basically, what did I do? I wanted to create a value of 10 for something, just to demonstrate to you. I wanted to see where it is stored on my PC. Yeah, okay. So I just said ID of 10. It showed me the memory location. Then I assigned the variable name called age. Okay, this is the variable that I have created, and I assigned this to 10. Okay, I wanted to see what is the ID. This age, what is the ID of this age? I got exactly the same ID of 10, because this is a key which is trying to point to this location. Now, what did I do? I reassigned the value of age to 20. Okay. So, what happened to age? Now, ID? ID has got changed because my variable value is different. Okay. That has come to a new place where this 20 is stored. So basically, the value that is being created is having a different location. Now, if I wanted to search for 20, I got the same ID of age, right? Now I'll say again, age is equals to 10. Okay. Let me see now what happens to ID. Okay. Sorry, is age. So there is a typing mistake. Okay. So it went back to the original. Can you see this? Because the variable is 10. As soon as I made it, it went back. Now I'm saying age is equals to 20. It will come back to original. So each and every variable that you are trying to use is stored in a particular location. Your variable is having a mapping to that particular value that is being stored. If I say in my presentation, this is okay. This is, this is the variable type that we have. So these are actually the physical locations in which the values are getting stored. Okay, that is, in this case it is May, like, I'm saying the value to be May, and in this case it is 18, 18 to be the value. And where it is physically stored, that we can get it with ID. What is this age that I'm trying to assign? I wanted to use this variable directly inside this variable name. Okay, so instead of using this 18, I'm using this as a key. Okay, you can do lot of iterations, try to understand all that. You please try to explore. You will learn a lot more with the exploration rather than just what I'm trying to teach. Okay, so please do try to explore what kind of variables that, where it is getting stored, how it is getting stored, is it very much required for your understanding? May not be, but for your programming skills, this might not become very critical. But sometimes, you do not see what you wanted the output to come. Okay, that time, the problem could be because of this. So at least that time you should know that the problem might have arisen from here. That is why I'm trying to explain it with much more detail here, so that you understand. You might be expecting that the value to be, as soon as age is getting changed, the location is getting changed or not. All those confusions can lead to a lot of problems. Okay, that is why I have explained it in much more detail, how the variables are stored inside the memory. Basically, the values are getting stored in different memory locations. Now my variable name is a pointer which is having address to that particular variable value. Okay, that is how we use our variables. It becomes much more easy. And if you don't it's not very critical at this stage for you to understand this. But when you are trying to write multiple programs at certain point of time, it can lead to problems without a proper understanding of this. If you are not facing any problem, this is not very critical part of your programming journey. Okay, I would say it's not that much essential to learn this. Okay. Yeah. So data types in Python. So this will may help you in understanding what kind of data types, and these are important for your Python programming. So in Python, there are broadly 4 different types, of variables that can be done. One is the number. In number, there is an integer, and inside that integer, as a subset of it, we have boolean. So what is this boolean? These are like, a variable having either true or false. Okay, it has exactly only 2 values. It is either true or false. Integers, all of it's just like, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and on minus side also -1, -2. All those are integers. And inside the numbers, the second another type of variable that is possible is float. Floating numbers that are 10.5, 10.6, like that numbers. There are different decimals that are there. Based on your application, you would be required to use different kinds of variables. And the if you have done mathematics, you must know about complex numbers. Like, root underscore -1 is the complex number, I, that we use. Like 10 plus I, some people use J, some people use I, based on in the convention that mathematically, whatever convention you want to use. There are complex numbers. Most of the times you would not be, until unless you are a mathematics programmer, and you would be required to use complex numbers. Python does support complex numbers, as a part of course. When we go through this, I will also show to you how we can use the complex numbers, what are the kinds of operations that you can do. All that will be covered. But yeah, mostly until unless you are a professional mathematical person who would be required to use those kind of things, it will not be required to go into that much detail. So then there is something called set. Set is a list of items. It could be like various kinds of categories of groups. It's a kind of set. It could be like, all the employees type. Like for example, you are in a educational institute. There are different categories of people, right? It could be students, it could be, these are discrete sets of people. One could be student, one could be employees, or it could be students, faculty, and office staff. These are different sets. They would be required to have, it's are mutually exclusive. They are separate. And they are non-repeated things. Okay. There is also a variable called dictionary, like it's a key value pair that can be used. We will learn about each variable much more detailed when we go with the examples, but as of now just you try to understand that these are the kinds of data types that can be created in Python. So there is also a sequence, like string is a part of sequence, like you say just now we created a variable called name Sudheendra that has a sequence of characters, so that's called string, where you can have inside that there is a particular number which you can extract out, like second character, third character, etc. Similarly we have lists, like it can be a list of strings, like name 1, name 2, name 3, name 4, that and all are possible inside that list. So, but they are sequence, they are sequentially numbered. Inside the string, it is characters are sequentially numbered. Inside the list, this list can be of any type. It can be of integer, it can be of string, it can be of float. Different kinds of things are possible. Tuple, again, it's a kind of it's a fixed pair, which like for example, on some of the applications like coordinates of when you are trying to write a program, you would be required to have the geographical location of your customer, let's say. That time, that will not be keep on changing. So one geographical coordinator can be assigned to one particular tuple. Those are immutable, we call it. What do I mean by that? You cannot modify the value of a tuple. You can modify, list, you can modify string, you can modify dictionary, but you cannot modify tuple. Okay. So these are kind of variables based on your application, you would be required to know. Is it very critical? Yes, you should know about different kinds of possible things that are possible. It should get absorbed into your head, so that whenever you require a particular kind of variable, you can understand, okay, maybe what kind of variable is more appropriate. Means, if I don't tell you that complex is possible, then you are trying to create your own complicated things there. So for that completeness, I'm trying to cover all the kinds of variable types. For your day-to-day programming, this much of complications and all that is not there. It's very, very simple that we are going to use. Okay. So there is also one variable type in specific to Python that is called none type. Okay. Means it's none of these types. Okay. That's called none type. That is also allowed in Python. Usually in some of the functions when we use, we return none, means it is not returning anything. That kind of thing convention is also used, so that you can do it. Okay. So I will be going little more details about each variable so that you can understand with examples how we are going to do. So there is a boolean, that is true or false. Okay. I will just quickly take to the notebook so that you can understand. So let's say bool, this is a variable. I'm going to create true. Okay. I will just run this line of code. You can see bool. Okay. This I can print it again, the value. It says bool is true. Okay. So I have assigned the variable to be true. So this kind of, I can do the assignment, right? Now I'll say false. These are the two variables that I can assign. Okay. These are the only two variables, right? Let's say bool. Yeah. I'll just run this. This has a value of false. So please understand this. Now, if I say bool is equals to, let's say I will say 3. Okay, it will change the variable because it is dynamically typecasted. So if I print the bool, it is no more bool. It has a value of 3. But you can store the value of this false. Or for example, I will just say for you to understand, these two are not same. As soon as I say single quote, it is considered to be a string. Okay. So if I type bool, so now you can see this false is not same as this false. Here there is no single quote. Single quote is considered to be for string. So when I just explain you the string, that time you will understand more. Okay, where is this? Okay, yeah. So maybe I'll just come out of the PPT so that you can understand. Okay. Okay. So this is a bool that we have. This has two values. One is true or false. Then there is an integer. Like for example, age is there, where you can consider to be that age is equals to 25. This is an integer. Okay. So I can print the age. It will also exactly store like this, 25 only. Okay, it is not storing as 25.0, right? I can say maybe y is equals to maybe 25.0 or 25.1. I'll run this. You can say y. I'll run this again. So it has stored 25.1. These and these are 20, this 25 and 25.1 are not same, right? Here there is no decimal. Here there is a decimal. So these are the kind of variables that you can create inside your program. Okay. So these are called float. You can also create complex numbers, right? Here, how are we going to create a complex number? Using J. Okay. We must have taught in our mathematics that, usually complex number is equals to 10 plus or maybe 10 plus 25J. This is how you can create complex number. Okay, just I will, don't worry, even if there is a miss of some number, it stores as it is. Can you see this? It has stored 10 plus 25J into a complex number. So it can do that. I can do this, again saying that is equals to, okay, I can multiply it. Just I'm trying to show it to you. It has stored. Okay, I will, okay, I'll just run this and see. X is not defined because I have not run x equals to anywhere. Maybe I'll just use age. Okay, I will run this. Let me see. Now, let me reprint this. Okay, it has multiplied 25 because I have assigned my age to be 25. I did my this age into 25 complex number, complete number. So it has become like this. Okay, it has multiplied this 25. That is how complex numbers are mathematically done, right? So these are the kinds of things that you can do. Just maybe I'll try to first cover the kinds of variables that are there. Maybe sometime, I will try to talk of different kinds of other possibilities are there. Okay, so you can define a variable just by assigning that value. It can be of integer. If you assign true or false without the quotes, it's simply you have to type true, then it is called boolean type. Then there is a variable which is having a decimal value, that's we call it as float. Then there is a complex number which is available, which is having that root minus 1 is here, we call it as J. Okay, in mathematically we also use sometimes I, but here we are going to use J as the complex number. So if you want to see what kind of variable that has got created, what is the type that we have something called type. Okay, and I can paste this complete number. You can figure out what kind of variables that is held. Okay, this is complex number. The variable type is complex number. I can see wage and I can see X. You will be seeing X is not defined. Okay, and that is I have not yet defined. Age is int, right? I can say type Y. I can see what kind of variable it is. This is kind of float. Okay, you can use this keyword called type and figure out what is that particular variable, which kind of variable it is. Okay, that is possible with the help of a function called type. Where is it located? That for that you have to use ID. Okay, If there is any confusion at some point of time, you can use these two keywords and try to figure out how your variables are being, what is the type of variable and what is the actual physical location that is getting stored. Like for example, you might be thinking y is equals to x and that will be having the same value of x. Whether it is actually physically same location or not, you can try to figure out with id, the physical location of that particular variable or that particular value. But if you want to see what kind of variable it is, you are going to use something called type. Okay, then you can figure out what kind of variable you have created. Okay, so is it clear to you all the way up to here? Like, how you can use the variable, where is it, then, what kind of variables are possible. Is it clear to you? Can you please confirm in the chat? At least I need a couple of yes, so that, if you don't understand, please type so that I can explain. Suruchi, yes, good, thank you. Perfect. Anybody else who doesn't understand, who is not able to follow, please do post it so that I can re-explain whatever the part you have not understood. It is very important for you to go, because these are basics. Once we go into our actual topic, the pace will be little different. Yeah, but here, basics I want everybody to be able to follow. Each and every place wherever I feel that it's very very important for you to follow, I stop like this and you really ask this question. So can you please confirm, anybody who is not able to understand, please do post your question. Anybody who wants to ask question, please post it. Pratap Reddy, you have unmuted. Do you want to ask something? Let me see from the participants. Okay. Pratap Reddy. Okay. I think, okay, he doesn't have the mic access. Okay, he's only seeing there. Okay, I thought, okay. Since I have not received any queries, I assume that people are able to understand. If you require anything that to be clarified here right now, you can please type the message. I will just, otherwise I will proceed to the next, important topic. Can you please confirm? Can I move to the next topic? Okay, yes. Okay, since, very few people are responding, I would go ahead and continue to the next topic. Okay, so there is a next data type is string. So you can do, there is a lot of things that you can do with strings, because most of our data that we are trying to receive will be having strings, means the characters, like names are there are a lot of things that would be required, to be having these characters to be used. So there is a variable called string here. So where a lot of characters, in C, character was the base, and the string, you word required to add on with a string library. But otherwise, it was not inherently available. But in the case of Python, this string str is inherently available. You can just try to create any string directly like this. There are kinds of, in the case of here numeric, the kinds of operations are all the mathematical operations. It could be like, plus, minus, multiplication, division. These are the kinds of variables that you can do. Even boolean, you can, true is considered to be 1, false is considered to be 0. So you can do some mathematical operations there, multiplication, division, subtraction, all that is possible there. no but in the case of string, there are limited operations are possible. That is, you can do by adding. Like for example, I will say, I'll just demonstrate it to you. Like, I will say, since maybe name is equals to, I'll just put in my name, Indra. Okay, maybe I'll just say first name. Okay, and maybe last name is equals to maybe raw. Okay, This is my first name and last name. So I will just run this. These two variables are created right now. Okay, I made a mistake. I'll just rerun this. Okay, first name and last name. Okay, now what I can do, I can say first name. I'll just take these variables. That is much easier for me. I'll just copy paste, right? Plus, I can add maybe one space in between, right? Then I can do plus and last name. Okay, this is a kind of variable. This is how you can create a string, and you can do certain manipulations with the help of this. Okay, my first name and last name. Okay, this is how you can do. With the plus, you can actually add different kinds of strings. Okay, similarly, what else we can do with the strings? You can extract out a particular characters. In the case of Python, it is something similar to C. We always start with 0. We don't start with 1. Okay, like for example, here I can say first name, okay, with 0. This will be yes, because my name is having first name is having first character to be yes. So here that is number 0. Okay, that's what I was telling. This is a sequence, and hence this is having certain sequential numbers, right? Like for example, what is my character 2? It will be D. Third character will be numbered as 2 here. Okay, so that is how you are going to have. These are important when you try to do a lot of string manipulations during your programming. So of course, is it very much essential to remember? No, because right now ChatGPT is there, it can generate the code, but if your code doesn't work as it is expected, okay, if your code doesn't work as it is expected during the debug, you will be required to actually know where the problem is. For that, you will be requiring this much of deeper understanding of different kinds of variables that are being created, etc. Okay, that is why it becomes very much essential to understand. Okay, you can also do repeat the string using star. Okay, I will just say print, okay, maybe first name, right, into 2. What does it do? It multiplies, Sudheendra. Okay, it has repeated. Can you see this? This has come as Sudheendra. 2 times it has come, right? So it can do that. When do we require? As of now, I cannot say, but maybe at some points of time, some of the strings that I have created, I might be requiring to increase them. Instead of having, keep on repeating that variable, I can create it like this. I can say comma, and uh, it all depends on your need. But this is a possibility. You can multiply with how many ever times you want to repeat it. You can do that. That is possibility is there. This is one of the useful cases there. And there is also something called slicing. You can extract a part of the string using this brackets. Okay, these are called big brackets. I was trying to show it for one particular thing. Maybe I can do, like for example, um, here I would say my name, right? I will just take this. Okay, I can create this. Okay, and my name, let me type and see what is my name value. It is Sudheendra Rao, right? I can create this. Okay, my name. And if I want only Sudheendra, what should I do? I should use 0 colon and where all the way up to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have to type up to 10 here. Okay, number of characters that is going to be there. Then only the whole name is going to come. Since it is starting from 0, If I say up to 9, it is not going to print there. Okay, if I say up to 9, it is not going to work like that. A will be cut. What does it this understand? It starts with 0 and it prints all the way up to 9 characters. So it starts with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 only. It doesn't print the ninth character because it does know that it is starting with 0. Okay, so these are the common mistakes that we are going to do in our programming. That is why I'm trying to highlight it to you so that you can understand that this is one of the key part. I already demonstrated to you how you can add, concatenated, right? So both the parts are done. So then there is something called list. These are ordered collection of items. So what do you mean by that? The different kind of variable can be there. Like for example, here I can define something like fruits is equals to, I have to see here the string variable is always defined starting with a single quote or, maybe even double quote. Okay, I'll just put the double quote. Okay, I'll put it here, double quote. Okay, or even with the triple quote. Okay, you can do that. Okay, this is called triple quoting. Okay, so triple quote is also okay. Maybe cherry, maybe pineapple. Okay, okay, I can define like this. But remember, if I put it, this is a list. For list, you are going to use something called big bracket. Okay, this is this straight line based one. Okay, I can define like this, and I can access fruit. Just if I say 0, I have to say fruits, right? Because I have defined my variable to be fruits. If I click this, it will come as apple. Okay, I'll put this. Maybe I have not copied. Okay, I'll say 2. Okay, I can also get um, 1:2. It is something similar to whatever we had done earlier, this slicing in the list. This is sequence. So what did it do? It typed from 1 and all the way up to item number 2. That is orange. Only it has printed there. So that is how it is going to print there. Okay, so you should know how it is actually functioning. Otherwise, I can do this 0 up to 2. You have to explore this to understand how these are storing the value. I can demonstrate it to you, but until unless you yourself practice, explore, and keep on doing this with the different things, you will not be able to understand. So it is not very much essential, but the deeper the understanding that you have, your troubleshooting will be much more easier. Okay, so you can also do by adding and removing the items, right? Like I can also do this. Maybe I will do that. I can do this. Let me see. Okay, cherry, I will just do this. So this is not allowed. You can add, but not through this method. No, we will do that, in a process. But here, if I try to, if I can I do this? Let me see. Will it allow? Okay, it has got updated, right? Now, if I type just fruits, it will print all the variables. So my third variable, which was there here, pineapple, got replaced with cherry. Inside the memory, all the strings are stored with a single quote. But in definition wise, you can use a single quote, you can use a double quote. Of course, I hope all of you are knowing that there is a difference between single quote and double quote, right? If you use that, just next to that enter button, there is a single quote, that key is there. And you can also use shift and that button, when you press, it will come as double quote. Okay. So, this triple quote is single quote followed by another single quote followed by another single quote. Okay. That's how you can create a triple quote. It all depends on your programming. At different places, you might be required to use different kinds of things. But inside the program, it is storing as a string to be with a single quote. Okay. And you cannot do this. A new additional variable cannot be added like this. Okay. That we will try to learn. You have to use something called append. Okay, you have to do append. We will try to learn that, these operations maybe in the fifth or sixth session, where how you can modify a particular thing, specifically how you can add or modify in the fifth or sixth session with much more deeper. But as of now, you can create a list. And you can also do accessing a particular list item, or you can extract out a particular number of items. That is also possible. And of course, you can also do any sequence will have that kind of thing. Like for example, you have to create a fresh list, right? What did I do? I try to directly create it with that, right? But you can also do other way. Just a minute, I will just demonstrate it to you. Fruits plus, I can create a list. This is directly a list. I can say pineapple. Okay, this is also allowed. Inside the list, it will get updated. But you have to reassign that to fruits. Okay. Now, if you see fruits, you will have that to be added. You have to create it like this. You cannot directly access, the variable that is not defined inside the list and try to append it. So these are the some of the pitfalls that you are going to do while doing the programming. I am trying to demonstrate those kind of pitfalls now itself, so that you can understand what are the things that you should avoid, in your programming. Okay. So in a list, there are specific number of things that are allowed. You can create a list with the help of, a big bracket with any kind of variables. There is not necessary that first item can need to be string means second item also need to be string. No, list can have any different variable types. And there is a tiny list. You have created two lists. You can add list like this, list plus tiny list. You can add them together, and that will get added. You can remove the item also. We will try to learn that part, during our full operations on all these four parts. Okay. Then there is something called tuple. So in the tuple, basically, these are immutable objects. Okay. These are immutable objects. Like these are like, uh, here what immutable means. Like for example, these are coordinates. Like for example, a physical location, a customer has to be delivering an item to a particular location, right? So that usually doesn't change on the earth, right? Once you have fixed that variable, that coordinates of that particular location will remain the same. Of course, that person can move, but that coordinates itself is fixed, right? So that it can be assigned into a tuple. So basically, the values cannot be changed. Like, for example, you are requiring these coordinates to be fixed, or any variable which should not be changed during your program. You can create tuple. Okay. Why is it required? Because some of the variables sometimes will be requiring non-changeable data. Okay, so that particular time you would be suggested to use tuples. It all depends on your program and skills, whatever that is required. It is done like that. Okay, I'll just try to create now tuple. Maybe I'll just create a variable. Maybe just to demonstrate, I'll create another variable like fruits. Instead of variables, I just I'll use this. Please note that I have only changed my variable to be capital F. This will be different. For creating the tuple, what do I do? Instead of that bracket, I have to use this bracket. Okay. Now, if I see what is my fruits variable is having, this is now you can see this is a tuple. Whenever this bracket comes, it is a tuple. Whenever this bracket comes, it is list. That is how you can differentiate between list and tuple. Okay. So here, let's say I would say fruits. I can reassign like this one, right? Maybe I would change this to 3. Let me see. Okay, this got reassigned. Can you see that I am reassigning the variable? Now this variable which was earlier pineapple got reassigned to cherry because I reassigned this variable to this. Can I do this with the same tuple? No, that is not possible. I'll just show it to you. It is not possible. Okay, and just do remember that here it is capital F. Okay, so wherever you don't want the variables names to be rechanged or anything like that, you should use tuple. That is the purpose of tuple that you can use. Like for example, coordinates, they are not going to change, right? So there you can use that particular thing. Like this is the invalid syntax. Okay, then there is something called dictionary. So this is actually specific to Python. There is also called, some of the times when you are trying to create variables, it becomes much more easier to have something called key value pair. So what do I mean by that? Like, uh, instead of storing the actual only the values, like for example, here, what am I storing? Like, all the fruit names directly the variables, right? But I can also have something called dictionary where a key is assigned to a particular variable. The same way as how we are using a variable itself for the value. In this, the variable itself will have a particular key. Okay. So like for example, I'll just show it to you here, student name and age. Then you will understand with the demonstration. Okay. Student. For that, what is the bracket that you are going to use? Something called flower bracket. So this is just above the big bracket. You have to use shift and press that flower bracket. It will come. Okay. I will say name. Okay. I have to say this is the key, and you have to put the colon. I would say my name. Okay. Just Sudheendra. Okay. Then I would say age. Here you have to use single quotes or double quotes or triple quote, whatever is appropriate. Okay. So then I would say the variable to be maybe 40. Okay. Just I'm putting in the numbers so that you can understand. Okay. This is a dictionary that you are going to create, right? But do remember that it has to be this equal symbol has to be there. Okay. This is a dictionary. Oh, sorry. I entered in between student time. Okay. Okay, now I can see what is my variable student. It will create the dictionary. This is a variable type. Now, I can say this is with the key value pair, right? I can create like this. It's very convenient, right? So student's name is Sudheendra. Okay. Of course, there is a spelling mistake. Don't worry. Just whatever I have typed in, it will come like that. Okay. So I can store with the name itself. Like, a variable's variable. This Sudheendra is the name, the variable that I want to store, but with further another key. This is the key of that particular variable. If I want to use the same variable, that is the student is there, will have a particular key called age. Okay, I can run this and see it's showing as 40. I can change any of these directly. Like, I can say age is equals to, let's say 35. Okay, I can reassign this value. And now if I say student, now my age got updated to 35. So it becomes much more easier to use this key when you have something called, a lot of key value pairs, like here name, age, some maybe grades, that kind of possibility is there. So in the grades, again, you can have different lists. So there is also possibility of dictionary, inside a dictionary, inside there is a list, all those complications are allowed in the Python. So you should know how to use them. Otherwise, Python gives you all the kinds of possibilities. How do you print all the keys? You can see, like, what kind of variables that are possible, um, student dot keys. Okay. Is it very much necessary to remember these keywords? No, not required. Nowadays, thanks to ChatGPT, just search key. I want to list all the keys of a particular dictionary. It will give you directly code. You can also search it on Google. You can always get. So it's not that much very critical, but yeah, it's important to know what are the features that are allowed. So that is why I'm trying to demonstrate all the variable features where you can use them. Okay, you will be able to understand that it is very important to some extent that when you are trying to, I always tell this in my regular classes also. You should know them so that you can use them. If you don't know, you will not be able to use them, right? So that is what, as a part of this basics, I'm going to demonstrate all the basic features. What are the things that you can do with the Python? When we do the programming, we might not be required to know exactly how these are working, what are the keywords. It's not very much essential. Your, thanks to ChatGPT, the code will be generated, but you should understand what that line of code is going to do and how it is working. So that is the basic purpose of me teaching you about these particular basic things that I'm trying to cover. Those are the things that are possible. This is, dictionary. You can try out these things. See, the more you try, the more the things that you are going to learn. Okay. um, there is a data type conversion is also possible. Like, sometimes you might be required to convert floats into integers, integers into floats, strings into, somebody might have stored certain information into a CSV file, and that might be a string, like, 3.3, that you want to convert it into float, like, like I can say float. Okay, I can say 3.3. This, right? This is a string. Once I put it into this, if I run this, it has stored into 3.3, right? If I say just 3.3, this is a string, right? This I can come to know that this is a basically a string, right? That's how you can distinguish between a string and a float, right? I can also do this, maybe, number is equals to, I'll put 3.3, right? I can run this. Now my number, I can see what is the type that my number is there. type number, right? This is str, right? Now I'll say number 1 is equals to number. Okay. Here I will say float. Okay. This is the typecasting that how I can do, right? Now I'll see type number 1, right? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Type number 1. So this is float. It can convert. If you want, what is the value of number 1? Let's see what is the value of number 1. It will not be str. It will be directly. It's not like this. It's like this. So it has stored into variable. So there are different type of typecasting that you can do. You can convert, float into integer, integer into integer, string into integer. You can do all that. You can also do convert it an integer into float, float into float, str into float. So by default, float can take all these kinds of things. Okay. Similarly, you can convert integer into string, and float into string, string also into string. So these are the three kinds of, there is an implicit casting and explicit casting that is also possible. What is implicit means, you are trying to convert something into, internally there are, it's trying to convert, this is implicit conversion. Int 1, it is allowed. You're converting integer itself into integer. That's, it's not going to convert anyway. It's going to be there as it is. But you can do also explicit typecasting, where you have a float, and maybe this is one of the good examples. I will just show int 2.2. Okay. If I run this, it has converted 2.2 into integer, right? So that's how you can try to convert into different. So these are the things that you will be required to do in programming, like, different kinds of variable that you are going to create, where it is getting stored, what kind of, type, different type of variables, float, in, all that, right? I think somebody has asked, sir, can you show that screen once in you tried to change the value of the items in the tuple? Okay. Suruchi, you can always watch this recordings again. But anyway, since I had seen, okay, if you want to repeat it, you can want to space in between there. There is always, okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. So you can always watch this. But as of now, since you have asked the question and I had seen, usually I take up that, and I'll just go up there and see. I try to change the tuple here, right? Where is it? Okay, this tuple with fruit tree cherry. Okay, after this dictionary, no. Tuple. Where is this tuple? Okay, tuple y. No, type y. Hmm, Where did that go? What happened? Did I do it here? No, I did it here only. Okay, this is the tuple, right? So this is the tuple. I tried to assign this variable fruits 3. Remember, this is the capital letter. As soon as I tried to assign this, whereas in the list it had modified, but inside the tuple it did not allow. Tuple object does not support item assignment, so it doesn't allow you to modify. Okay, so let me, the typecasting is the other one, where you can convert a different variable to a type to a different variable type. These are the things that you will be required during your data manipulation. You might be getting different kinds of data. You would be required that to be converted into different types of data. Okay. So, uh-huh. So there are some best practices that we should follow. Why is it? Okay. So, variable name conventions that I was trying to tell you about. Best practicing name variables are, so as I told you, it is case sensitive. There should not be any spaces in between the variables, and it should start with a letter or underscore. Okay. Example valid names, I already demonstrated to you that it's a student name. Invalid name is this first student, that is not allowed. That kind of variables are not allowed. Best practices, use descriptive names. Try to avoid the Python names. There are some Python keywords that are there. Like for example, bool is there. You can use them, but avoid them, because that can lead to little bit of complications. Okay. Because you will always get confused whether it is an inbuilt function or the variable that you have defined. So try to, how do I avoid that? So avoid wherever this yellow color type of things are coming, sorry, green color, right? You can see this. Maybe I'll try to zoom in a little more. So, I'll just show it to you. See this type, this has come into a different color, right? This is in black color. All these are variables. Any keyword that is there, that is in uh, green color. Can you see that? Uh, Maybe even bool was there. Maybe I'll just go up. Let me see bool. Yeah, bool is there. Bool is also a kind of inbuilt variable, inbuilt keyword. So you should avoid using them. You can use them, but only thing is that it will lead to confusion for you. As long as you are sure of for what purpose you are trying to create them, you can use them, though Python doesn't stop you from using, but try to use it. There are some standard ways in which people follow, that is camel case. Like each word except the first starts with the capital letter. Pascal case, where each word starts with the capital letter. Okay. Then there is a snake case, like where each word is separated by underscore. Here, like first, except the first variable, the first one, all the other words, my, there is no separation between variable and name. All of them are there. Since spaces are not allowed inside the variable, so what I'm going to do, my way capital will be V, variable name n again will be capital. So this is called camel case. Then there is a Pascal case, where you can do all the things, like each and every letters, first letter of each and every word will be capital case. There is also snake case. Usually I prefer somewhere around snake case. I use this underscore preferably, because that gives readability with much more ease. Okay, that's how I use it, but it all depends on which case you want to use. You can follow any of that. Okay, so I will just take one more slides, then I will be opening up. So you can go through, these are the different resources that you can use for, I will just paste it. Okay, where is the chat? Okay, charter. You can use these resources. Of course, you will also be provided with the presentation, all the other details, that even this notebook will be shared with you. Whatever I have done, you can try to practice it, and try to explore more, and try to figure out where and all the if anything is not working, you can contact me back. Okay, so you can try to go through with lot more details. What are the things that are lot more information you can get with these things. Okay. um like Python tutorial, these are the more resources that are available, and you can talk of what is Python syntax, what are the Python variables, variable names. You can explore them, and what are the allowed, what are not allowed, with lot more details. It will give, like for example, here, if you run, it will give you, it will try to give you the output simulator instead of using invalid syntax, like 2 is the number. So it will try to simulate. You can also do some level of these kind of explorations yourself. But these three are very good resources where you can get a lot of basic things about some of the basic variables, and you can try to do that. So for each and every chapter, I would be incorporating these kind of links, so that if you are still not very comfortable, confident about a specific topic, you can try to go through those particular topics with much more detailed way. Okay. So that brings me the end of the kind of this topic. So the next session that I would be taking will be on the control structures, and what are the kinds of control structures. Of course, if you have watched the demo session, it will be more on if, else if, and else, and for and while loop. These are the two basic control structures which we will be using it, and how we can. Yeah, I have pasted it. It's okay. Sorry, I think. Yeah, sorry. I think it somebody has messaged me individually, so it has gone to them only. Okay, I'll just paste it here. Yeah, this I have pasted in the link, so you can go through them. So there are a lot of information that is available there, and of course, we as a trainer, we would be doing a lot more hand holding, that rather than just like a book. We will try to troubleshoot. We'll also be doing a lot of learning from there, but these are the some of the very detailed and lot more explanatory information is available. Okay, so learning with us will be much easier, but if you want a lot more detailed, deeper understanding, yes, these are some of the websites which you can use. Okay, so we'll be talking of next session, control structures. We will communicate when the next session will be held, and some details to the all the participants. So I would go ahead and take few questions. Quickly ask, post your questions. So you can post in, so that I'll take those questions. I'll just take a 1 minute break, so that you can post your questions. I will take those questions. Okay, thank you. Just posting your questions in the chat. Yeah, I do see a couple of questions. Okay, thank you so much for this amazing session today. Yeah, thank you, Suriji. It's nice that you people are enjoying the session. Sir, what's the session plan like this course? Today is my first session actually, so I missed what are we going to cover during this course. Suriji, just I will explain this. Give me a couple of seconds. So let me first try to cover up any today's session's topics that people have asked. Okay, how can we utilize Python for AI and the ChatGPT in security, uh, pen testing, or ethical hacking? Um, Ashwin, uh, so it all depends on you. I would say, see, the creativity is, there is no end to it. So definitely you can use it. It all depends on you, how you can use it. See, I think this topic will cover both of your questions together, Surichi and Ashwin. So basically, this course, since I think both of you are joining for the first time, I would just briefly explain. Yeah, Kiran, you have also raised your hand. I will just give you a time once I answer these two questions. Okay. Um, it's like this. This course basically, you know, uh, I did my master's in data science after my PhD, because I wanted to enter into the data science segment. So there, I did, programming, learning, all that, in spite of that, I had to take a couple of years actually to absorb the whole things into me and trying to program and do all that. um, Once the chat gpt came in, I it's not that I couldn't do it. I wrote programs. I used to do a lot of functions, and I did write earlier in C, VB. I had a lot of Fortran, Mathematica, MATLAB. I had a lot of programming experience in that sense. But Python being a very popular language now, and it's with a lot of popular libraries, I wanted to do Python also. So I learned Python also. But writing the code with any particular language will always be leading to a lot of difficulties, right? Because you need to know the syntax, exact, any problems that you're going to face. So this course we have designed in such a way that you will learn that basics. But is it very much critical in today's real world scenario? No, because most of the codes that you can generate it with the chat gpt, you, for whatever the task that you want, ChatGPT generates codes like this, but there are two things that will be very much essential for you to use that code. ChatGPT can generate the code, but for using that, you require two things. One, you should understand the basics. That is what we are trying to cover it in this course. We give you all the basic syntax, what are the variables, what are the limitations. Lost my connection for a couple of seconds. So just I was just telling that we will just try to continue from there. So just I was trying to show that chat gpt's demonstration, right? I'll just do that, and I'll try to make you understand what is the kind of thing that is there. Okay. So this, we did factorial calculation in our demo class. Okay, this is what I had done. Maybe I'll just start with a fresh chart. So I'll just say factorial. Okay. So what does ChatGPT do? It doesn't understand what is this factorial, right? So it tries to explain me what is this factorial and all that, right? Okay, it says, now it says example. Okay, so like for example, it says I can also use alternate math library. Okay, this is, it understands that because I had already created a program with this factorial, I want to generate my Python code, then it is able to understand this. Now, like for example, I want code for factorial in Java. Okay, let me see. It will give you, see, this is what is prompt engineering is. You should understand exactly. See,
after all, any of the generative AI tools, like ChatGPT is one of them, will understand what you are giving it information, right? So I want, there are these are the kinds of function it creates. Now this function, if you don't understand what is this public, what is this static, what is this void, what is this class, you will not be able to understand, right? So this course has been designed that you will be provided with all the basic syntax. Then what kind of prompts you need to exactly generate the, whatever the project that you are trying to solve. Like for example, in the last batch we did two projects. One is based on 50 EMA, based on algorithmic trading, 50 EMA based. So we generated the code with this, we modified whatever the problem that we are, that whether that is giving or not giving, what kind of prompts that needs to be given appropriately to generate my required code, and how do I incorporate that code and solve the project. That is the ultimate aim of this whole course that I have designed. Okay, sorry, I think I have not shared the screen. Okay, sorry, I think I missed this part. So basically what I said was, I just typed the factorial, it generated all this code. Okay. It said, why it said like this is because I already searched for Python code. It knows that I am looking for Python programming, and hence it gave like this. Okay, initially as soon as I said factorial, it explained what is the factorial, and it gave me the function in which I can create my factorial program, right? It also said that I alternatively I can use math library. But this is what is called prompt engineering, exactly giving the prompts based on what my requirements are. Okay, I have to tell exactly this generative AI what kind of things that I want. Okay, that is what we will be doing it in during the project, like what kind of prompts that we need to give so that we get a better effective output. Like for example, I said I want factorial code in Java. It created actually the Java code, how you can use it in your Java program. Okay, so just for quickly covering, somebody has asked, so I will just go through data science and the course details. I will just go through this. um, so in this course, what are the things that we are going to cover? You will gain basic Python programming. We will do hands-on projects with two projects, and some practical skills in data manipulations, visualization, some AI basics. This will be just 1 hour session, like how are the things are there. We'll also be covering prompt engineering to some extent, that what kind of prompt should be provided, and we will see the project development. And if now all the participants will also be getting the old recording, so you can also see what kind of algorithmic trading strategies things are there, some kind of from scratch. I assume that you do not know anything about trading, you do not know anything about algorithmic trading, or you do not know anything about the Python. So at the end of 15 sessions, you should be able to do an independent project yourself. If you are facing any problem, you can always approach me. I would be happy to help you in the individually on one-to-one basis. Of course, most probably on weekends, but my answers will always be there directly on WhatsApp. You can try to solve that. But if you require little more assistance in terms of taking your desk access and trying to help you the problem that is getting resolved, mostly I would prefer on weekends. Okay, that's how we do. So what are the things that we are going to cover? This part is already done. The recordings are available. You can see that the next session, that is today's session, was basic data types and variables. I tried to cover some of those operations and some of the kinds of variable types. And of course, we are going to have much more detailed session in one of the other sessions where I'm trying to cover working with the data. There you will see a lot more variables that we are going to do. We'll in the next session be covering about control structures, if else, and loops, for loops and while loops. Inside that there is a break and continue statements. We'll try to learn about these in the next session, which is control structures. Okay, then there is something called functions and modules. These are a next level where we can write whatever the repetitive codes, instead of having that, we'll be making that into a functions, and then lot more functions together we make modules instead. In that, different modules together we'll be talking of library. So we can also be talking of two kinds of things. One, we can import the modules and libraries which are available in public domain. You can create your own library. So these two parts will be covered, both the sides. How to use the library that is available in the public domain, or how to create your own library which can be published, or for your own other time of things. We'll also be covering some standard libraries like oss, math, and datetime over there. We'll also be talking of working with data, like list apprehensions, how you can manage the data in with majorly these four types: list, dictionaries, tuples, and sets, because these are the commonly used things in the data science. And we'll be covering these four topics with much more details, and doing all that manipulations. We'll also be starting off with the project. In that project there is also something called access, application programming interface. Okay, so this is a new method in which how your program exchanges the information with other programs or other applications, websites. All that is part of this API. So we'll be covering this. Don't worry, as of now it might look little loaded words, lot of topics that I'm trying to discuss. When you watch, when you go through the sessions, I will be taking at a very, very basic level. I assume that you don't know anything, you know. Of course, if you're not understanding, you can always approach me also. I will try to cover those topics. Then we will try to talk of how you are going to fetch the data. Like for example, the weather module is there, weather API is there on different websites. How you can get that information and incorporate it, and do some basic exploration of that data, and how to store that data onto your system. Then we'll go on and discuss about basic relevant libraries, like based on our project selection. We would be covering the pandas, numpy, and matplotlib. These three libraries are anyway has to be used in all the data sciences, so we'll be covering those basic libraries. Then I will introduce you to the basic concept of AI. What is AI and how it is getting used in generative AI. We talk also of neural networks, how actually this whole data science is getting evolved, things like that. It's just a 1 hour session. It's only a overview. I'm not going to cover in much more details of AI part. Yeah, but yeah, I do take these sessions for small kids, like with a much more detail. But yeah, for you people, for this course, it's not that much essential for that. Just I'll try to give you a basics of AI, and then we start off with the some a small mini project kind of thing. We take up a, regular data set and try to do some data cleaning, transformations, and all that, handling the missing data, and plotting and visualizing that particular data. Then we'll start implementing the project, understanding about each and every data set, trying to get the feel of the data. And like for example, if we start off with algorithmic trading, we might not be knowing anything about what is share market. So I will start with a very fundamentally how the whole things are working. Some of the things you can get it from the internet. Some of the things, I will try to brief it overview so that you can understand the whole thing. Okay, we'll also talk of prompt engineering, what kind of basic thing. All this project part is dynamic based on the choice of the project, and that I will modify these, but I will also try to cover what kind of some key hints for, like, how you should present your projects, wherever you go, what are the things that you should highlight to your end users, like that. Some of those things also I'll be covering. So we'll be doing six project, out of six projects, two of the projects will be done. So I don't know, we will try to cover how much over topics that are possible. So we will try to do two projects: healthcare, warehouse, e-commerce, education, finance, and algorithmic trading. So these are the six topics that are there. Based on the user's choice, we'll try to cover those two projects. Okay, so that's the overall structure of the course. So I think this is for somebody who had asked a question about. Oh, okay, that's Eddie who has said, and I think this is for Surichi. Yeah, Surichi. So I hope, Surichi, things are clear to you. Yeah, thank you. So yes. So Kiran, I can ask you to unmute. Please speak. You have raised your hand. You can unmute yourself and speak. Kiran, are you there? Kiran. Kiran, are you there? You have raised your hand on virtual hand raise. So can you
Yeah,
please?
yeah, yes, yes, sir. My question is regarding database access and processing and management. So, what kind of library are you going to use? Is it NumPy, Panda?
Yeah, right. NumPy. So mostly we are going to use, yeah, NumPy, and see, basic thing that we are going to use is the Pandas data frame. That is where we are going to import. We are going to import mostly CSVs and Excel files as of now in this most of the projects. But yeah, if anybody's help is required in terms of database directly, SQL database or anything as such, that also we can do. But you know usually we are talking of a small project which is sufficient for you to demonstrate your Python skills as a basics, this being a basic course. I will not be covering onto a standard database of SQL or anything as such. We will be covering only specific to CSV XLS files to be imported. And even that can be having, sometimes I take 30 in megabytes, and those are the files that you use. Even see, in one of my experiments, I used to generate for each one standalone experiment, I used to generate 8 gigabytes of data, you know so I used to do the same experiments for 6 7 days. The same experiment I used to repeat for 6 7 days. I used to analyze all that data with the help of my own written code. So file handling, if you understand the pipeline, you can always create with a different source of data. It could be JSON, it could be, we will also be covering some JSON during the project. But yeah, the database itself we may not be handling, but yeah, JSON, etc., we will be handling. So you'll be covering with CSV, you'll be covering with XLS and JSON. Yeah, correct.
So through Python also we can do ETL transformations.
Yeah, yeah, possible. Yes, correct.
Okay. Okay. So normally reading, writing, and loading of data is normal activities. So my
Yeah,
question is,
that's very
just
much
want to
essential
confirm.
for any of the data scientists. No, you can't do without that,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Okay.
So see, ETL is more a sophisticated word which requires, a proper pipeline that has to be created in Python. That's, it's a single line of code that, you don't need to do any of that. It's when you register for this course, and you can go through, when we take the sessions, it's very simple lines of code. It's a single line of code, and but some amount of uh, see, if you know what is the data that is coming in, that is when the programmer becomes powerful. It's much more easy to the same analysis with this repetitive data. But ETL, like for example, Informatica or any of those tools, it even unhandled different kinds of data also, you will be requiring some level of processing. But yeah, most of the projects may not be requiring that kind of data analysis, right? So it all depends on, but yeah, Python, it's possible to do ETL with much more simplicity. Yes, correct.
So, are you going to show or explain in terms of that regarding the read, write,
Yeah,
load, and
definitely. See, we are
transformation?
going to do two different projects, and one mini project where say just to load and extract the data and manipulations. That itself is one particular session that I will be covering is here.
Okay.
That is this data pre-processing information and basic visualization. That's what we'll be doing it there, and that is
Oh,
one. And of course, all the projects will also have that stages. Yes.
okay. Got it.
Yeah. Uh, that's Kiran. Pratap Reddy, you also unmute. Okay, that's he doesn't have the mic access. Yeah, sure. So please do go ahead, and if you have any doubts, you can contact our support team or me, and you can approach our support team. They will, if it is required, my intervention, they will connect it with me. Um, so that should be sufficient. If any no further questions are there, I can end the session. Please do confirm. If anybody has any doubts, please post it here, or else I can end the session for today. Okay. As of now, I have not received any questions. I would just stop share and also end the recording. Thank you. Uh, Thanks.